Hi everyone, welcome from Italy. First of all, a big thank you to Ruby and everyone who put all of this together. This evening, I am here with my team to share with you our view here at Capobranco Canine Center. Let me take a second to introduce you to the member of my team. Marina Bertani.
Hi, everybody.
Filippina Cunsolo.
Hi, everybody.
Dr. Maria Teresa Miletto.
Good evening, everyone.
Giulia Barbaro.
Hi.
Dr. Elisa Doria.
Hi, everybody.
Simone Acconcia.
Hi, everyone.
And Antonio Arrico.
Good evening.
Now, share the presentation. My name is Giuseppe Manfredi, and I have this passion for over 30 years, but I still feel as excited as the first day. Okay, let's start. First topic of the day. Often people ask me which is better, collar or harness. Personally, I don't think this is the right question. Why do we need to choose when we have the possibility to put both? With the help for the leash with two hooks, using collar and harness in the same time, in both safer and more communicative. I got this idea about 15 years ago. I was walking in the city when I saw a little dog sliding off from his harness, putting himself and others at great risk. In that moment, I had an epiphany. Put on both collar and harness to be more safe. It's safer for all dogs, but especially if you have a new rescue or an reactive or fearful dog. The risks are great. He could get hit by a car. He could run away. He could go off and bite another dog and other bad situation. That situation causing a bad experience for himself and the others. By using both harness and collar, we can avoid the problem. It also has the advantage of making our communication more clear. For the dog, it's much easier to understand when the leash is both on the collar and the harness. It means that he has to walk slowly, following our pace. However, when the leash is only on the harness, he can smell and explore around. In this case, he is free to pull on the leash if he wants, and my part is only following. But how do you teach him to walk properly on the leash? I observed that when a dog is walking with two people, he goes between them, and it makes our work very easy, as from the video. That is a little son. I observed this behavior one day when I was working in a big store. From the day, in that day, I started paying more and more attention to it. And this is what almost every dog does. This is a natural behavior that works in our favor. But the question is, how do we get the same behavior when I walk alone with my dog? With the help of natural barriers, it can be a wall, it can be a fence, it can be whatever we find on our way. And do not give space to overtake. The habit of being in a specific place helps to fix the behaviors. Initially, we fix this position with the help of some good tricks, maybe the clicker, or simply by telling him he's a good boy. As from the video. Once the dog gets used to walking behind us or next to us, depending on what the dog prefers and needs, we start using smaller barriers and gradually we take them off. We always need to teach positive, and it's very important to understand what the best rewards for this good behavior can be. We can reward with good tricks when the dog is in the correct position. We can decide to reward him with his favorite toy, or we can reward him by leaving the leash only on the harness and giving a break command. So the dog is free to take some time for himself. In addition to positive reinforcement, it is useful to use the Premax principle, which states the more probable behaviors will reinforce less probable behaviors. So in this case, the idea of being free to smell around and explore the surrounding will reinforce to good behavior of not pulling on the leash. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Giuseppe. And now let me introduce you to our expert in veterinary medicine, Dr. Maria Teresa Miletto.
Thank you, Antonio. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Teresa Miletto, and I am a veterinarian of small companion animals. Here's is a bit of veterinary wisdom I learned. My personal motto is happy dog, healthy dog. In my experience as a veterinarian for every 30 years, I have realized that dogs who spend many hours a day in nature, play constantly with their owner, socialize with other dogs, and work according to the attitude of their breed, have a longer and healthier life than other less fortunate dogs. Scientific evidence shows that psychological and mental balance has a consistent positive role for the human immune system in the development of neoplastic form and in the reduction of gastrointestinal and urinary diseases. When you want to adopt a dog, you have to ask yourself, do I know the attitude of this dog breed and what are their needs? Can I satisfy these needs? Will it have a balanced role within the family? The educational courses and recreational sport activities are a huge help and support to achieve a good balance of the dog. Happiness is the best medicine for my dog. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to talk about, well, my name is Antonio, by the way, Antonio Rico, and I'm a dog training student. Tonight, I wanted to talk about communication. And more particularly, I wanted to share my personal experience with one of my dogs. Her name is Lisa, and she's a rescue. And I got her after she lived in Albania as a stray dog for about 1 year, one year or something. Now, we as trainers always have to deal with different types of dogs. And one of our main jobs is to help people find a way to communicate properly and effectively with their dogs. Obviously, we know that not every dog is the same, and sometimes we have to change our ways of communication if we really want to be effective. Now, as you probably know, there are three main parts in our communication. We have the verbal communication, which is basically just the words that we say, so the commands that we use, if you use commands like sit, stay, whatever it is. Then we have the paraverbal communication, which is basically just the volume that we use when we're saying something. It can be the modulation of our sounds. So if we sound happy, angry, if we sound sweet, and also the tone of our voice has a really big impact. And so if we have a grave tone when we speak, it's going to be very different than if we have a very high-pitched voice. And it also can be, what can make a difference is also the speed of our words. And then at last, we have the non-verbal communication, which is basically just our posture and our body language. Now, the thing that we absolutely have to engrave in our mind, next slide, please, is that not all dogs are the same. And we need to understand that what works with one dog may or may not work with another. And it's never a mathematical formula. Now, this is why when having to do with a fearful dog, it can be very tricky. It can be very difficult. Now, when I got Lisa, I finally understood that it is very different to know something on paper and actually put it into use every single day and every single moment of your life with that one dog. And I basically understood that the key to communicate with a fearful dog is absolute patience. You need to be patient all the time, always. And the first thing that you need to do is to gain their trust. And to do that, you have to start from the basics. So you need to satisfy their basic needs. And we know that the basic needs of the dog needs to feel safe, it needs to be well fed, it needs to socialize, and it needs to have some fun with other dogs and with the owner and everyone. Now, you always have to work with on their motivation, which basically brings me to my point. Only when I adopted Lisa, I truly understood, Lisa is this dog in the picture. I truly understood how powerful and important paraverbal communication and non-verbal communication really are. I had to start paying more and more attention to everything I did, every movement I did, everything I said. Now, because I'm a man, I naturally have a certain physicality, and my tone of voice can be very intimidating for a dog that is as fearful as my dog was a few months ago, a few years ago, actually, a couple of years ago. So every time I speak to her, I find myself trying to use a very high-pitched sound. I make all kinds of squeaky noises, try to sound as the least terrifying I can. And I also try to embrace all kinds of non-threatening poses. So I never try to lean on her. I always try to pay attention to my poses as well and my posture. Now, it's a very long process, what you need to do with when you're having to deal with a fearful dog, and you need to be very patient. It is a journey, like it's a very long journey, and basically you need to Pino, can you change the oh no, sorry. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a very long journey, and every day it's a bit of a challenge, so you need to be very patient, and with the help of these precautions, you can actually achieve some very satisfying objectives. So today, with the help of my mentors and my team members, especially Julia and Giuseppe, Lisa is now a really happy dog, and she started to enjoy the company of people. She loves playing with other dogs, and she practices quite a few canine sports. And so we do a little bit of scent games. We started practicing a little bit of agility, and we also tried mentrailing with kind of satisfying results. So I'm sure you had similar experiences with some of your dogs. So if you want to share them with us, we'd be glad to hear it. Now, another thing that I often find underrated is that when you're having to deal with a fearful dog, you never really realize how much every day can be tiring in that state of mind. So it can be quite challenging. So finding themselves in a busy environment like the city or a mall or whatever it is, and learning how to be okay with it is a very demanding experience for a dog. So a big factor in their lives is actually stress. And one of the things that is very helpful, that I found it to be very helpful, was actually chewing, which is often underrated actually. So for a dog, chewing and using his mouth in general and teeth in general, it can be very good to release stress. It can be a very good way to release stress. And a dog should be able to chew about 2 hours a day throughout the day, obviously not 2 hours straight. So chewing, as well as toys, they can be very powerful tools when you see your dog agitated, when you notice that they are starting to get agitated, and also when you know that you have to leave them in the house for a few hours. So these objects should never be left in the house and always available for the dog. So they should never be left available at all times. But it should be the owner who chooses when and for how long these toys should be available, so should be used. This kind of control, aside from actually preventing something that you wouldn't want, it helps us keeping the dog very motivated, and it helps us keep them very enthusiastic every time we take a toy out. But these toys, what are the toys that we're talking about? Now, in this slide, we can see where the first one is the Kong, which is very great because you can fill it with any kind of food, if it's a creamy food, if it's meat, whatever it is. And if you want the fun to last a little bit longer, you can stick it in the freezer for a couple of hours, or maybe not that long, but you can stick it in the freezer for some time, so that it's either to take it off and the dog has to really work its way to lick inside it. And it's very good for when you have to leave the dog in the house by himself, for example. Then we have the dental ball, which is really good for gums. And it has all these fun slots inside in which you can hide some treats. And it always helps making the game a little bit more fun. And then for puppy chewing, we can talk about the deer horn, which is really good because it does not splinter like all of the other sticks do. And it lasts a long time. It also has some good nutrients. So even if they digest it, they eat it, they properly eat it, It's absolutely nothing bad in it. And then the last one, but not the least, we have the coffee stick, which I personally never use myself, but I know it's really good because it helps keeping their teeth really clean, and it's very suitable for allergic dogs. So if your dog has any kind of allergy, you can use that and be really sure with it. And it also floats. So if your dog is a swimmer, you know that you can use it, and it's going to be really good as a water toy. These are the main options that we always use with our dogs. And but if you have any suggestion, please share them in the comments. Now, thank you very much for your attention. And now I leave the floor to my colleague Simone Acconcia.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're fine. I'm Simone, and I am one of the dog trainer at Capobranco Center. So today I would like to talk to you about an argument that I strongly believe in, which is the importance of play. I'm referring to the play that a dog does with his owner and not the play he can does all by himself, or the play he does with other dogs during the socialization process. I think this is a very important argument, especially during these days when we are forced to stay at home because of the coronavirus. And we have to not forget that if we don't want psychological disorders to occur, we have to keep our dogs' minds always busy with some activities we can perform, for example, at home or outdoor in a garden or in a yard, if we have the possibility. Play is, in my personal opinion, the best way existing to reinforce the bond between the dog and his owner, and allows us to better understand our friends. On the contrary, I have to say that most of dogs owners think and look at play as if it were a secondary activity, something superficial, because after all, dogs, all what they need is to get out, going around, marking the territory, and little else. Putting aside the fact that many studies have shown the importance and the role of play in dogs' life, based on my personal opinion, I can really say that play cannot be considered stupid or something trivial. Okay, and now I'll show you 5 reasons why play is so important. First of all, you'll keep them mentally healthy. Okay, like humans, dogs get bored easily, very easily. So playing with them will help this aspect of boredom and stimulates their brain. Okay. The second reason is that you will promote their physical well-being. Everyone needs exercise in their daily life, and dogs are no exceptions. Okay, because they need exercise to stay in a good health, and play can also prevent pet obesity. Also, this is also really important. We can, through the play, we will be able to expend all the pent-up energy they may accumulate while waiting for us to come back home. So the third reason is that you will bond with your dog. And this is the most important aspect, okay? Spending quality time with our dog helps strengthen this relationship. The fourth reason is that you can relieve their anxiety, because playing with your dog will help alleviate any anxiety or stress they may have living in a so stressed society. Okay. The last reason, it's obviously that it is good for you too. this is having a dog today in this period is the perfect excuse to stay outside the houses and living the nature. Okay, so now let's see what kind of plays we can do with our dogs. There are a lot of plays we can do with our dogs. Here we have a short video where I am playing with my dog Ugo, which is English bulldog. But he doesn't speak English; he just speaks Italian. And we make some plays, but this is in particular his favorite toy and game. It is tag. Okay, so I take one side of the rope, he takes the other one, and we have fun pulling each other. Okay, let's see the video. So you couldn't see these from this video, but I want to suggest something that I strongly believe in, which is the ritualization of the play. The most important thing to remember, in fact, is that we are the ones who decide when the play starts and when it ends. Okay, so I suggested to set a special word, which can be, for example, in Italian we say giochiamo, but in English could be, for example, let's play. Okay, which will help the dog to know exactly when the game starts and when it ends. Okay. Stop is the word we can use to put an end to the game. This special ritualization, why is so important? Because it keeps your dogs safe from the risk to get too excited while playing or out of control. Okay, if it becomes too difficult to control, we can simply put a stop to the game until it calms down. So as concerned the plays we can perform, there are many. Some of these can be done at home, for example, tag or nose work games, using, for example, plastic glasses or old shoes boxes. Okay, or maybe teaching our dogs to do new tricks using the Kong or food dispenser toys. If we have a garden, we can do agility, we can play ball, or, for example, frisbee. I suggest to avoid games which include body or clothes as part of the game itself, because these could encourage biting or aggressive behaviors. Okay. Another thing to remember, and this is really important, is that every single dog has specific tastes in matter of play, exactly like human beings. There's no play that all dogs will love, okay? But we have to find out which is the best one for our friends. My presentation is over. I just want to say that, yeah, play is really important, but sport is also really important too. And now I let Antonio speak. And Antonio, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Simone. So thank you again for your attention. So as we all know, those breeds were originally selected to carry out some specific jobs. Now it could be hunting, it could be guarding, it could be pulling sleds, it could be all of these things. And this process meant that the dogs had a natural tendency for these tasks. So, sorry, this selection meant that the dogs had a natural tendency for these tasks. And somehow they needed to perform them if they wanted to be fulfilled and basically happy. So today, most of those breeds, though, they don't perform these jobs anymore, and they don't perform anything for which they were selected. And they are kept in the house as house pets mainly. And this, as trainers, you know that this can be a very big cause of frustration in a dog. So as Dr. Miletto was saying before, and as Simone said as well, a happy and fulfilled dog is also more likely to be healthy, and we need to keep that in mind. And it's going to be healthy both physically and mentally, because a dog that is not mentally healthy is not going to be healthy. And this is why canine sports were actually created. So if we needed to find a way to keep our dogs happy and healthy, and we needed to find a way to allow all the breeds to vent their natural impulses. So the goal of canine sports are actually to give dogs their jobs back. It's like a job. They need to work, so we need to find them their jobs back. And they need to be more active, and they need to be active physically and mentally again. So here we can see a video of one of our trainers, Filippina, while she's training with her dog Lucky, and they do some retrieving. Lucky is a golden retriever, and for him it comes very natural, as you can see from this video. It comes very natural to retrieve, but obviously the sport doesn't mean just throwing a dummy and then waiting for the dog to get it back, but it actually has some very specific rules, and you need to control every kind of behavior, and it helps the dog with self-control. It helps the dog with obedience as well, and it just feels more, it feels happy. If you saw him actually doing this thing with Filipina, you would see that the dog is happy. So yeah, here they're doing some different exercises. So the dog is still looking for the dummy. Obviously, it's 2021 and hunting is not actually allowed as it was many years ago. And plus, a lot of us are actually kind of against it. Some of us aren't. It doesn't matter. We don't want to get into that. But the way you actually practice the sport is with dummy. So they don't use actual animals, but they use these dummies. Pino, can you change the slide, please? Now, okay, so sports, they can also be an unbelievably powerful tool that we have to build a relationship of trust and cooperation with our dog. If you ask anybody who actually practices any canine sport, they will very gladly confirm what I just said, and they will tell you how much these sports actually helped in building a relationship with their dogs. And before I talked about fearful dogs and my dog especially, and actually sports can be a very helpful way. They can be very helpful with that kind of problem too. When a dog practices a sport, they need to get used to work in the presence of other dogs, of other humans. They need to be in the presence of a more difficult environment. All right, you can change the slide. They really help with this. So they actually get used to the presence of things that usually put them in a very difficult position, but they are having so much fun. They really believe in it, and by doing this job, by doing this sport, they forget about everything else, and even subconsciously they get used to that feeling. So, for example, if you put the other slide, we can actually watch a video in which one of our trainers, Elisa, which was in the picture before, she's working with her dog Bea, and she's doing agility. Now, Bea has a particular history behind her. So she was very shy, and she found it very difficult to be around people. And she didn't particularly enjoy the presence of other dogs either. In her case, the activity, as you can see, is agility, and it had a huge impact on the re-education of this dog. And if you could see her now, she's actually very much in control. She's happy to be with everyone. She needs to choose the dog she's with, but she's actually very socialized, very well socialized. And in that video, you can see that she's actually really happy to do this. And Elisa, when she's training with Bea, doesn't even need to have a treat or food or a toy or anything, because the actual reward becomes the sport, becomes the activity, and the dog gets rewarded just by doing it. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And when you have a particular dog like Bea could be, or like my Lisa, they are a really wonderful way. You should really try it out. And thank you very much again. And if you have any experience in canine sport, and if you do anything, if you have any insight, would really love to hear them. And now I would like to introduce Marina Bertani, who is another of our trainers, and she will talk about a good citizen guide for a dog. Marina, the microphone.
Antonio, tocca a me. Thank you, Antonio. I'm Elisa. I'm a dog trainer student, and I practice this amazing sport. Backyarding is movement, adventure, and fun. Backyarding was created to allow the little dog to train even without snow. Today, we have a competition all over the world. Okay, next slide. Now, talk about the equipment. We need a mountain bike with good brakes, bungee line 2.8 meters, a harness for the dog, an antenna, and for the human, helmet and long gloves is all you need to go cross country running with your dog. Okay, next slide. The training takes place in countryside or in mountains. This sport can be practiced with all the dog breeds, not only Nordic breed, as you respect the limits of your dogs and adapt the run to your dog's level. This is one of the best solutions to train working dog, for example, Australian Shepherd, Australian Cattle Dog, Malinois, and Weimaraner. It's natural for dogs to be active. This sport can help dogs with various issues, for example, stress, anxiety, destructive behavior. Okay, most important is collaboration. For example, when riding uphill, the dog can help you. It's very important to have a good cooperative relationship during the race. Trust, the dog is in front of you and he responds only to your voice. And the rhythm, you will have to adapt to the rhythm of your dogs. The motivation, the dog must always be motivated, focused, and in good health. Temperature and race rules. The training takes place only during the colder season. The temperature must be under 18 degrees. And when it's too warm, the trail has to be shortened to a more appropriate distance. The most important thing is that you and your dog are having fun together. In backyarding, you and your dog are a team. Now, this is a short video of my trainings with my dogs, Wilson and Arya. Here he's in competition, Yeti race, and in training with my Australian Shepherd, Wilson. And Arya, the Alaska Malamute. Thank you for listening. Have fun.
I'm sorry, Elisa. I introduced Marina instead of you. I made a mistake. I'm sorry, everyone.
No problem.
Now it's the turn of Marina. I'm sorry. I apologize. Now it's the turn of Marina Bertani, who will actually introduce. She will give us a really good citizen guide for dogs.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Antonio. Hi, everybody. My name is Marina, and I would like to talk about an argument I strongly believe in, and that I get more important. Having a dog which, thanks to our teaching, could be a perfect citizen. Our cities are changing, giving things to be pet friendly. Dogs area in city parks, where our fans are free to play with other dogs. The possibility to get into the store and the restaurant. It was not the same some years ago. Turin has been the first city in Italy to give this possibility to dog owners. Having said that, I must admit that we are losing the five people without dogs gave us. That's because it is really sad to notice. Our cities are dirty of dogs' mess and dog pee all around, on carousels, on the shutters, on the shops, and left on the sidewalks. That's unfair and indicate lack of city sense. In my opinion, there are some measures we could adopt to avoid discrimination and prejudice. Based on my personal experience, my dog is a female Rhodesian Ridgeback used to dirty on the grass or in a specific place, and I have adopted some tricks with her. I often take her outside so we can reach our destination without problem. I'm used to taking a bottle of water and a detergent with me so I can clean in case of emergency. I always carry bag for the excrements so I can pick them up. Having a male dog can be different, but with a little patience, it is possible to teach him where to dirty, and in any case, I recommend to have a bottle with water, so it will be possible to clean. I think that have a good sitting dog, or better, with a perfect combination of human and dog is really important not to lose what we obtained during all these years, and also to avoid the risk of being object of health, anger, or ever worse of intolerance act. As a dog trainer, I will work in this direction because being a good and respectful citizen is beautiful. Thank you for your attention.
Giuseppe, there are some questions. If you want to have a look, Simone, did you see the questions?
No, I cannot see the questions.
All right, there is one for you.
Yeah.
And Emma is asking if the stop word can be used also when playing with other dogs.
Yeah, obviously, but you have to teach them that stops is the word you will use to stop the game. So stop is the very first word you have to teach your dog while playing to avoid the risk he can get out of control. So it is important that the other dogs know exactly the same. If it's not, the word stop will not work. So it is important to teach. So if this person, I don't know this person, but if she has two dogs, she can teach these dogs the word stop and how it works. But if she tries to use the same word to a dog that she doesn't know, it will not probably work.
Okay, great. Also, Monica is asking how long is it? How long do you have to play with? You have to spend with your dog playing.
So I usually spend about 50 minutes every single session of play. Okay, and I play with my dog 3 or 4 times every day. Every time I come back from my daily walking, I play with him.
Okay, that's great. And then Miss Alexa Capra, hi. She's asking if we don't leave the toys for our dogs when we leave them alone. And actually, if I can answer to that, not all of them. We usually, if it's the Kong we're talking about, which is full of food and it takes a long time, and we're dealing with well, if I'm dealing with a dog who suffers from anxiety from separation, then yes, obviously I leave the Kong out for her when I leave the house, because it actually helps achieving that goal of not being stressed because I left. But if it's her favorite toy, then also I can leave it with her, maybe choose 1 or 2 and leave it with her as well. But it's important not to leave all the toys always available for the dogs, because, well, as they taught me, as we believe, they kind of lose interest for these toys. So being a powerful tool for us to play with our dogs, if we actually leave them out the whole time for them to play, they kind of lose this interest for them, and it can be more powerful. It can be much better if you actually give the toy only when you want to play, and you take it away when you stop playing with the dog. And also, by leaving all the toys, you might also cause some possessive behavior, which you might want to avoid. But obviously, as we said during this whole presentation, as everyone said and believes, not all dogs are the same. So what we have a set of rules that we use as kind of a Bible, if you wish, but it's not the same for every dog. So you always have to deal with that particular dog, and what works with someone may not work with others. And the main example that comes to mind is, for example, when people say you never have to let the dog sleep on the couch or on the bed, because it's a surface that it's above the ground level, and in the wolf pack, only the leader is the one who sleeps and occupies this surface. True. Okay. Yes. If you have problems of leadership with your dog, and if your dog is actually a dog that challenges you very much, then yes, you have to follow that rule and you have to be very strict. But if you have a dog that never challenges you and that is always very respectful of your role and her role or his role, then again, this rule kind of doesn't count for her or for him. Okay, so I hope I answered to this question.
I just want to add something to the first person that asked me about the word stop. I just want to say that it is really probable that the first times you will try to use the word stop, it will not work. Okay, so if the dog gets too excited, the only thing you can do is to stop playing and ignore him or her until it calms down. Okay, when it calms down, you can restart the game, and then by little steps trying to introduce the word stop. So the ritualization consists of 2 words. The first one is let's play, which invites the dog to play. Okay. The second word will be stop, which means the play is over. Okay. So when the dog will learn this particular ritualization, he will it will be used to calm down automatically after the game stops. Okay, so it will be a long journey. Okay, it's not something you can do from the morning to the night. Okay, but if you train hard, you will be good, I'm sure.
There are other questions, guys. Sorry. So
Sorry,
Paulina says that
can
in her
I-
experience, sorry, Pino?
Sorry, can I add?
Sure, sure.
In my opinion, it's necessary that the dog feels himself understand. If my dog call me, I respond to you. And it depends. If I have a dog collaborative, the initiative can be take also the dog. It's good if the dog feels that I understand. And so when I play, if my dog stop on the start, for me, it's okay, the same. Okay, thank you.
Sure. No, there is Paulina. She says that the Kong with food can make the dogs more aroused in her experience, which is true. Again, not everything is set in stone. So yeah, it can happen. And as you're saying in your experience, it did happen. And obviously, you have to adjust these rules to your dog. So if your dog doesn't get that relief from stress by playing with the Kong, then you have to look for something else. And you always have to be positive. So you don't have to be stubborn. So if it doesn't work with your dog, even if with other dogs it may work, it doesn't mean anything. You just have to change your strategy. To me, it's not about I think it's getting late, right? We need to finish at 10. Shall we go on with the questions, Pino? More questions?
For me,
I think it's a bit late.
2 minutes. 2-3 minutes. If there is any question.
Yeah, Paulina is saying something else. So to me, it's not about the toy. My dogs play with pine cones or twigs. It's about how you play. So in other words, my dog, 4 of them, have all the toys available at all times. The moment when I take the toy in my hands, that's when. Yes, of course. Yeah. It can happen, definitely. Having more dogs is also different, and then it depends also with your dogs. Again, we always speak in general rules, then we have to talk about every particular case. So yes, thank you very much, Paulina, for your experience. It was very nice. Pino, would you like to wrap it up?
Thank you. Yes. I would like to say thank you to all of our dogs. A special thanks goes to Massimo Cicala, my first teacher, and the first one to teach me the importance of sharing the dog passion. We also would like to say thank you to all the people who gave us their trust in these years. And I replay my concept. Collar, harness, both. High safety. It's very important to share this concept. Okay, thank you for your attention and have a great night. Goodbye from Italy. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.